Yesterday afternoon at about 4:45 on Chestnut Road, two people were arrested. Fernando Jimenez, who's 20 years of age, and his sister Erica Jimenez, and she's 22 years of age. But here's what happened. We were dispatched to a fight. And we had deputies respond in an emergency mode because it was supposed to be a neighborhood fight. Well, as you all know now, there's a video from someone who was in the area that showed exactly that. There was at least two separate fights that occurred. So when deputies arrived, they're trying to ferret out what's going on, who's fighting, is anybody hurt, is there guns, is there knives, the normal criminal investigative routine. When they're trying to deal with Fernando Jimenez, he is a principal in and was a witness to the first fight. He was in the area of the second fight, and he was trying to leave the event. So we were trying to make contact with him, and he was saying all kinds of wonderful things to us. So he was arrested. He was arrested for resisting and for interfering in the investigation. He resisted that arrest. During that arrest, he spit on one of our deputies, the female deputy. I don't need to tell you at this time of COVID, when everybody's supposed to be socially distancing, and by the way, when I looked at the tape or the video, no one there was socially distancing. But when I look at that, and then one of my deputies gets spit directly in the face by a guy, never mind HIV, AIDS, hepatitis C, but now we have COVID. So as they were taking him to the car, he continues to arrest, and that's evident. But it's important to the casual viewer that sees this to see that, yes, our deputy struck him twice, two times, whenever he was trying to get him under control. Then he was shoved into the patrol car. You can immediately see the deputy who was initially spit on. As she has left out of the view of the camera, she comes back in with a spit mask. This guy is trying to spit on everybody. She puts the spit mask on him. One of the things we do whenever you can, and it's hard to do when people are resisting, is to get them seat belted, because everybody we transport whenever possible is seat belted in the car. In addition to that, after we get him secured in the car, we get the spit mask on him. You can also see something happening outside the car. Well, what that is, it's called a rip hobble. They have put a device around his legs, and they pull it out of the patrol car door and shut the door. And then they string it into the front patrol car door and shut the door. The reason for that is it's to tether his legs so he cannot kick the windows out of the patrol car. So once they deal with him, then they go over to help with the rest of the disturbance. I've never seen a pretty fight. And I can tell you one thing, that we're going to do a complete and thorough investigation. I have built a reputation of doing what's right. If there's a violation of the rules, then they will be held accountable for that. But I can tell you clearly and unequivocally, in this day and age of COVID, HIV, hepatitis, how would you respond if somebody spit in your face today in the middle of this pandemic, when the state of Florida is under a state of emergency? You would stop it. You would stop it. But there will be a complete and thorough investigation. We just saw the video clip today, so I'm not going to rush to any rash judgments other than to say that I clearly see a man resisting my deputies and spitting in their face in the middle of a pandemic. So, in addition to that, why we're doing the investigation, another reason I appreciate the video is there were other people that the deputies did not criminally charge yesterday because they didn't know of the event. And people, comes as a shock, weren't very cooperative with us out there. But now we have this clear video of other violations of the law. And our detectives, while doing a complete and thorough investigation into this fight, will be filing additional criminal charges against others. I see at least 2 fights. I see the one lady that was arrested for resisting us hit one of the combatants in the fight with a piece of wood or stick or something or another. So she can look forward to some add-on charges as she participated in that kerfuffle as well. But this entire event, not one factor of it, not one frame of it, will be completely and thoroughly investigated. In addition to that, I have ordered that both of my deputies who had to fight with this guy, one was spit on, and he at least attempted to spit on another from my initial information. Both of them are going to be tested for COVID, because I want to know if the suspect had COVID without a court order, and he's already out of our jail system. He bonded out, as did his sister. Without him being out of the jail system, I can only test him for COVID with 1, his consent, or 2, a court order. And certainly it's not worth a court order and going back and fighting with him again. Because obviously, if he'd have cooperated from the very beginning, if he'd have helped us work through that event, he wouldn't have been criminally charged. All he had to do was what the overwhelming majority of people in this society do. When law enforcement officers drive up and say, hey, we got some questions, you're here in the middle of a big fight. We know now there's at least 2 fights, and maybe more went on behind the fence that we couldn't see. Our detectives will ferret that out. But it was a huge disturbance. When most people cooperate, provide information, he chose to fight with us. That was a poor choice on his part. And here's his picture. So there you go. He's charged with resisting without violence, which is a first-degree misdemeanor, resisting with violence, which is a third-degree felony, and battery on a law enforcement officer for spitting on one of our deputies. So, with that, are there any questions?